Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and at @U_Capper on Twitter. We're going to be breaking down a few games today. 3 games specifically: Nets versus Wizards, Hawks versus Grizzlies, Celtics versus Clippers. But before we get into the slate today, I do want to talk about some promos. It is Monday, December 12th. So that means it's $9 Monday over at SportsMemo.com. All picks and packages on the site today are $9. And that's coming from every capper over at sportsmemo.com. So make sure you head over there and check out all the deals that are going on. We also have a college football specific package, all access college football for $149. So that's all the bowl games and the playoffs, all access for $149 from any of your favorite college football cappers out there on sportsmemo.com. Myself and Matt, we have a BOGO deal going on, 7 days, all access from both myself and Matt for just $99. That's all access, so not just NBA specific. You guys know that both myself and Matt do many other sports here. So that's a great deal as well. $99 for myself and Matt, 7 days, all access, not just NBA, and no promo code needed. One more for Dr. Chuck. He's going to be our special guest for today, and he is having a 50% off any all access package on his page, and he has a promo code DRC50. He'll talk about that more later on during the best bet section. So just make sure you head over to sportsmemo.com after the site, check out the amazing deals, and also make sure you use the promo codes or whatever we give out today. And also before you go, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button because it helps us continue to grow this channel and this show, this NBA Triple Double Show. With that said, let's bring out the boys. All right, Dr. Chuck and Matt, Monday. How was your guys' weekends? NFL yesterday, NBA, dope UFC. I know, Matt, I know you had a good day yesterday, Mr. Plus 58,000 parlay. How did everything else go?
I can't really lie. Maybe the best weekend of my life. So I went 9-1 overall, undefeated in the NFL, 5-0 NFL, 2-0 NBA. Not much NBA. We just had the Warriors money line against the Celtics, and then we had Steph Curry over in that one. 2-0 UFC. So in total, the only one that we missed was Chris Middleton, and he played like 6 minutes, got hurt. It was one of those, and was very happy to give some people a bounce back because it was kind of a rough week for us. And I'm sure that 9-1 weekend definitely helped. And yeah, to your point, I made a crazy player prop parlay last night, 50 to win 30,000. Ended up hitting, so I'm feeling pretty good today.
Yeah, we talked about it on Friday, man. We talked about the good juju, and Dr. Chuck was with us on that day. We're like, all right, we're bouncing back this weekend, and yeah, sure enough, you definitely bounced back. Dr. Chuck, how was your weekend?
Yeah, that's how you bounce back, right? Yeah, no, I had a good. I also. I know that overall our show plays on Friday didn't do great on the whole, but the weekend was fantastic. The week was pretty good too. So I hope that we continue this on. Like I said, I do spend a lot of baseball season on the Sports Memo leaderboard, and then I completely disappear once football starts. But I got back on there this weekend, so nice. Hoping that continues. We could probably talk. I want to get Chris in here. I wish, and we could just talk about that Magomed draw probably for a while on Saturday, but
don't even talk about it.
That was a whole nother topic, right? But we're talking basketball here. I don't want to get anybody.
Yeah, let's get into the slate. But that's that. Right? Talking about Magomed is probably just gonna make me hella sad and not want to talk at all. So Nets versus Wizards here, 16-12 on the season. They've been playing pretty well lately. They won 7 of their last 8 games. This is their 3rd game in 4 nights, though. The Wizards, they're actually playing the 3rd game in 4 nights as well. They're 11-16 on the season. Pretty much like the opposite of the Nets right now. They've been playing pretty bad. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games. From an injury perspective, Hachimura and DeLon Wright are both confirmed out for the Wizards. Beal, Monte Morris, and Anthony Gill are questionable. For the Nets, Royce O'Neal is out. Nick Claxton is questionable. So I mean, from an injury perspective, I think they're actually a lot healthier than they normally are, other than O'Neal. Claxton is, I feel like he's pretty important as far as like the paint perspective, but I mean, other than that, I mean, you can't get any more healthier than that as far as the Nets here. How are you guys thinking about this one? Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah, so honestly, today I am kind of Mr. Contrarian on the show. And for me, I like the Washington Wizards +6 here, and I'm going to get into that. The Brooklyn Nets travel on the road to face off against the Wizards, and this is a matchup in which the Nets have now won 7 of their last 8 games and are currently on a 3-game win streak. As for the Wizards, to Ron's point, they have lost 6 in a row and have won 1 game in their last 10. So for me, this is still a spot where, the Wizards are without Bradley Beal, potentially without Monty Morris. And for the Wizards, to Ron's point again, they're without Royce O'Neal and potentially without Nicholas Claxton. And if Nicholas Claxton doesn't play, that's actually kind of a big piece for me, just because this Washington Wizards team is made up of the power forward position and the center positions with Kyle Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis at this point in time. And then you got Denny Avdia as well, who's kind of doing his thing. He's a nice little defender. He's someone who can match up on Kevin Durant, potentially try and slow him down a little bit. But, this is one of those teams with the Brooklyn Nets who this is the hottest they've been the entire season. And I personally do think that, they might be due for a letdown game here. And when you take a look at the Brooklyn Nets a little closer, their past 3 games have been a win against Indiana Pacers by 3 points, the Atlanta Hawks by 4 points, and the Hornets by 6 points. And you take a look at those 3 teams, and they're somewhat the same caliber as the Washington Wizards. So for me, I'm kind of taking a look at the Wizards here. You've won 1 game in your last 10. This is not going to be a popular pick. It's a tough team to back, but this is the NBA. Even the worst teams find a way to cover spreads. Even the worst teams find a way to win games. So for me, I'm going to back the Wizards here. And I actually like Kyle Kuzma and Porzingis to have a big day, especially if Claxton is out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to be the contrarian play. From what I see, there's a lot of I'm looking at the Wager Talk odds page right now. That's one of the I look at it a lot, actually. And it seems like there's a lot of tickets on Washington. That's to me, that's surprising. I would have thought they would have been the contrarian play as well. But Dr. Chuck, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, yeah, I mean, Matt mentioned contrarian, and I think that's the best way to be and probably the longest term way to win. So being contrarian, and you brought it up, normally I would probably say this using different words, and I would, but I probably should get permission. But I mean, if it looks like crap and it smells like crap, it's probably crap. Why are the Nets only -6 here? I mean, how far do you have to dig into the fact that they won the first matchup by 42 when the Wizards were healthy? And all 3 of the big stars were in the mid-20s, and then they beat them again, and that was by 6, and that was before the Wizards were on this terrible losing streak. The bookmakers just keep adding 1 point. It's weird that, we talked about they were 4 or 5 against the Pacers, and then 5 or 6 against the Clippers, and now they're just 6 here in this spot. And Beal is out. I think Ron might have said questionable, but I think he's out.
Oh, he is. Okay.
So I mean, maybe Matt has different information, but I think he's ruled out. Claxton, I think, is a little bit important if you're going to stop Porzingis from scoring everywhere. But I couldn't be on the Nets here just because, I'm not going to accept their beg. I would probably lean towards an under. I think this is maybe a tricky under spot at that 227. 227 is lower than a lot of totals are going to be, but one of the higher totals on the day, actually. But there's a couple of really solid props. I like that Matt brought up Kuzma. Kuzma worries me maybe in this spot, even though he has that higher usage rate. And Matt and I talk about all the time, we love Kuzma. Why does he get crapped on so much? And I don't understand it. Porzingis kind of gets that same rap. But Durant in both games this season has gone off, and I don't see any reason that he wouldn't do that same tonight, especially without Royce O'Neal chucking the ball every time he gets it. He's a black hole, and if the ball gets passed around more, he's going to score. It's a 28.5, pretty stinky. I think Durant probably goes over that rather easily. Or if you want to look at a PRA, he did score 28 in the last game, but he put up a triple-double, I think. So you're probably safe on that combo. But yeah, I think it's. I guess we all came to an agreement on Friday that it was Wizards or pass, so that sucked. But I think it's Wizards or pass again tonight, at least with the 6. And I'm not saying they win the game, but I'm saying that the line reeks.
Yeah, I know. I know you guys are on the Wizards. For me, you guys are kind of talking me off of this play. I was looking at this, maybe possibly adding to my card, but I think you guys are talking me off a little bit. But these are kind of the counterpoints for me. The Wizards, obviously they've been struggling lately with, what did I say? 9 of the last 10 were losses, and most of it is on that defensive side of the ball. They're dead last in defensive rating in the last 10 games. During that same time frame, the Nets, they have a net rating of plus 4.4, which is tied for 6th in the league. And their offense has really been coming together lately in the last 10 games, second only to the Boston Celtics in effective field goal percentage and true shooting percentage. So, with the Wizards, struggling defensively, the Nets playing really great offensively, chemistry-wise, their key players really coming off of a lot of rest because they didn't play that last game against the Pacers that they end up winning with basically a G League team. So they have a lot of momentum on their side to get their rest, their starters some much needed rest and get that win from their bench. That kind of I feel like that brings up the team morale a lot, and that gives them a lot of momentum coming into this game, saying that the starters can trust their bench moving forward. So that I think that's a big boost for that team. With that said, though, maybe a look towards the over, guys. The Wizards 4-0 to the over as home dogs this season. They're also 4-0 to the over at home, and the total is greater than 225. I think it's at 220, 226, 227 right now. So still above that threshold. Nets 4-1 to the over on the road when the total is greater than 225. Also 2-0 to the over on the road when favored by 5 or more points. So to me, maybe more of a look towards the over there. I know you guys touched on the side. Did you guys have a thought on the total?
I have. The only thing I have on the total is that I was leaning under, but no, I was leaning over. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, really?
But
you said under earlier.
Yes, under. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I'm losing it. I'm looking more at this stuff. As you were talking, I wanted to get that thing that I forgot to mention on SDQL that Ron may have popped up. Teams that are on a 6-game losing streak or more that are home and only getting 6 or less points against a team that's above 500 are covering 65% of the time. It's 55-30 the last 85. And that's one of the main reasons that I just think the line sticks. The line is normally like the normal line in this spot is 8. And so it's just why, and you brought up all those points. Like I was so ready to back the Nets. And I know this is dumb to say. I say this all the time. I know it's dumb to think it was going to be closer to double digits and it's so much better. And that's a reason that I stay off, but it is because it reeks, why would the healthy rested Nets not come when the Wizards are back home here and slaughter them? Right. And so
that's pretty sneaky, like one of those.
So it just worries me. It'll probably end up 120 to 98 or something. But
I think I'm with especially if Claxton is out. I think if Claxton is out, that definitely opens up the middle more for Porzingis and Kuzma to slash to the basket. So if he was declared out, then I would definitely probably go with the over there. Ben Simmons is running that backup 5, but Porzingis is 7'3". Like you just need some height on him to be able to slow him down a little bit in that post. So for me, if he's out, I would definitely be looking at the under, or I'm sorry, over. I'm doing it.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's wrong.
The total's going down, which is scary. It probably has to do with maybe with Beal actually getting confirmed out. The other thing too is if Beal is out, then Ben Simmons will probably be on Kuzma, and that could kind of slow things down.
True.
But I think we've been on that game for a bit. Let's move on to the next one. Hawks versus Grizzlies. Hawks 14-13 on the season, coming off a win over the Bulls at last second crazy shot by Griffin. That was actually a pretty nice play. But this is the second leg of back-to-back home to road games, so they're traveling on back-to-back nights, and also third game in 4 nights. So there could be some fatigue on that side for the Hawks. Grizzlies 17-9 on the season, streaking right now. They've been on a 5-game winning streak. 7 of their last 8 games they've won as well. From an injury perspective, 2 key players out for Atlanta, John Collins and DeJounte Murray. Grizzlies continue to be without Bane and Danny Green. From what I've seen, Steven Adams and Ja are both questionable. So those are 2, at least especially Ja Morant. He's going to be important to that line, depending on the status for him. Dr. Chuck, let's start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, and I don't want to get into too much stuff that other people are going to be talking about here, but yeah, I don't want anything to do with I don't have the SQL numbers in front of me, but I don't want a whole lot of anything to do with the Hawks with this health status on no rest on the road off of a buzzer beater against Ja. Of course I want Bane to be playing, but the complementary pieces are looking pretty good, and John Concher is contributing. Jaren Jackson can score without John Collins, probably at will, because he's not going to mess with Capella. I wouldn't bet the Hawks +8. That's a lot of points, but I wouldn't bet the Hawks +8 with any of Matt's winnings from yesterday. Even, I don't want to even put that on it. I think that would be cruel. I think seeing that the total went all the way into the 240s last night, and the Hawks are going to be tired and tired legs, I would be pretty interested in a Grizzlies team total over here. I think you're looking at.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I think you're looking at, I think it's 116. I don't have the number right in front of me, but it's either 116 or 17. I think they go 120, and I think you get pretty decent numbers on this. I don't have a lot to say about the game total because I don't know what the Hawks will do. It's really hard to trust what Trey has been doing recently, especially without Murray back there. He's pretty hit or miss recently, whatever's going on with him and Nate and all that different stuff. But maybe a Grizzlies first half is probably how I would attack this on a spread, because I don't want to be one of these sneaky things. We saw what the Nets did to the Pacers. The Grizzlies are routing them and they're up 23, and then it gets down to 12 and 11, and then there's a 3-pointer at the end, something crazy, and this line is expanding. As we talked about, it was -6 and then 7.5, now 8. It might even close 10. But Grizzlies first half, Grizzlies team total over are both probably the ways I would look. In addition to, there's some solid prop looks out there, especially as much as I said, Trey's going to have to shoot, and he's going to have to shoot a lot, and he's going to have to do a lot of the scoring if this is a game at all. So whatever that number is probably worth a look, because it's probably going to be something like 26 or 27. He still hasn't gotten that Luka respect just for chucking it, but he's going to shoot it 30 times. So I think it's worth a look there, but I'm excited to hear what Ron has to say, because he's going to have a more detailed analysis and see what Matt thinks about this as well.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to be talking about it in the best bet section, especially on the side perspective. So let's go to Matt here on this one. Any looks from the props perspective, or pretty much anything here on this game with I don't know. It's kind of tough. We don't really know the status of Ja Morant, but whether he's in or out, we've seen how the Grizzlies could play even without him. Last year, they went on like a crazy streak without him. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. So first off, if you're watching and you got a best bet or anything like that, hit that comment section. We don't have any comments yet. Would love to hear some of your guys' best bets. And with this game, I actually have a couple different looks, I would say. And to your guys' point, this Grizzlies team is 17-9, won 5 in a row and 3 in a row at home. This is an Atlanta Hawks team that will be without DeJounte Murray and John Collins, 2 huge guys. And because of that, I think you really have to look at Trae Young and Bojan Bogdanovic to potentially try and elevate their play and step it up. And especially if Ja Morant is declared out, I will be looking at those two. Tyus Jones comes in and fills that point guard position, and not the best defending point guard in the world. And it's the same with Ja Morant if Trae Young is in. Trae Young is a dreadful NBA defender. He's very undersized. You can body him around. And we all know how Ja Morant likes to play. So I think Ja Morant could definitely take advantage of Trae Young if, in fact, he does play this game. But for me, again, I said I was going to be contrarian this slate, and I'd actually be probably with the Hawks, with the plus here. And this is one of those spots where there's not a lot behind it. There's not a ton of science here. Really, for me, I've been backing these teams going on the road and playing in back-to-backs in teams that are favorites, and they've been losing for me. So that's kind of why I'm fading the Grizzlies here. I've been fading these teams going on back-to-backs, and they've been going out and they've been winning, and they've been doing it by 10+ a lot of the time. So for me, I don't know. I'm just wondering if some of these trends are starting to go in different directions at this point in the season. This isn't going to be an official play for me or anything like that, But if I were to go with this, I actually do think I would go with the Hawks +8. I know this is definitely this one's probably contrarian. I would assume that, but it's just one of those. It's a personal pick. Not a ton of science behind it. You're not going to see a ton of against the spread stats behind this one. This is just personal. Like I said, I've been fading these teams going on back-to-backs, and they've been going out and winning outright by 10+ points against me. So for this one, if I were to go any way, I actually think it'd be the Hawks +8.
Yeah, I see your point there. I think one of the things that I actually want to see is John Morant out. I think I want to see him out today and give us a better line because I think 8.5. Well, I saw it at -7 last night and I liked it at that number, but it's getting to that point in that area where it gets pretty gray because you don't know if they're going to get fouls. If it gets to that point where there's like 7 to 9 points on the line and it's at that number with about a minute left, you don't know what kind of mentality the Grizzlies are going to be in as far as like, all right, am I going to continue to put pressure
For sure.
or is it out of the realm of them coming back? So I'm just going to let them score a couple of points and then you end up winning by 7 exactly. So it's in that area where it's kind of gray, but hopefully we see I want to see Ja out. That's the way I want to see it. But I'll talk about it a little bit later. But Trae Young, I know Dr. Chuck, you mentioned Trae Young's points, but with this type of pace of play and him being the focal point of the offense, would you think the Grizzlies kind of push him to be more of a facilitator and maybe we look at his assists more than his points? Because Bogdanovic is back and he's there. I mean, he's really more of the 3-point threat for this team altogether. So if they push Trae to be more of a facilitator, maybe Bogdanovic's points. I know he hasn't been too great since he came back, but I mean, what else can you do? Who else is there?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not looking at exactly what Trae's assist number is, but I mean, absolutely. Just that last time without DeJounte, he didn't take 30 shots. Like I said, he took 25, but he still had 9 dimes. And I think Matt said Bojan. Bojan's your guy up there that you're about to lose to the Lakers. This is Bogdan. but he comes in. I mean, you guys both brought it up. That might be the sneakiest prop where I don't know what the books will hang because we need full prop rosters, and I don't think this game is up because of, like Ron said, he wants Ja out. But I mean, he went nuts. I mean, AJ Griffin sure got the name, but I did he miss a 3? I don't know if he even missed a 3, but in that game, and so it's just he's gonna take him because that's why he's playing 6th man. And the game and the Grizzlies' second team defense, like you said, is Tyus Jones equipped, or whoever is going to be guarding him in that second team is equipped to stop Bogdanovic from just shooting 10 triples, and how many will he make at that point? And like you said, when he is on the court with Trae, that might be where Trae's looking. So
I think so. Like, he was inconsistent as far as the first 3 games that he came back.
Yeah.
But after that 0-10 from 3 game, dude, he's been balling 28 points, 31 points, made 6 and 7 threes. Yeah, I think maybe Bogdanovic might be the way to look as far as prop perspective here. All right, let's move on to the next one. And the next game here is the Celtics and Clippers. This is a good game. Celtics 21-6 on the season, coming off a loss to the Warriors on Saturday. They've only lost back-to-back games once so far this season. And that was early in October. So maybe a bounce back on the Celtics side here. Who knows? This is the first leg of back-to-back games, 5th game of a 6-game road trip as well. And I believe all of the games were on the West Coast, or at least the last 4 have been. Clippers 15-13 on the season. They've been inconsistent to me pretty much all season long. They really haven't been able to put all the things together. Like both, sometimes they're playing well offensively, but not defensively. Then the opposite, but not really putting everything together. They are coming off of a nice win over the Wizards, though. They're traveling all the way from DC to LA on one night's rest. So that's pretty much a tough travel spot. From an injury perspective, Boston still without their bigs. No Gallinari, no Robert Williams. Al Horford is out again. For the Clippers, it's just Norman Powell. Clippers are slowly getting healthy. Kawhi and PG have been together, I think, in 3 of the last 4 games, I believe, or something like that. So how are you guys looking at this one? Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah, so here we go again. I'm going to be with the Clippers +3.5 here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the contrarian one again. The Clippers are coming off a 4-game road trip. To your point, on that road trip, they went 2-2 and have truly been one of the more inconsistent teams in basketball. To Ron's point, they're 15-13 on the season, but this is a Clippers team finally getting back home with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard's a big factor for this team. They were missing some really solid outside shooting, and Luke Kennard is that spot up guy that can really help when Paul George drives to the middle or Kawhi Leonard drives to the middle, things like that. And then when you're looking at the Boston Celtics, they've won 17 of their last 20 games. And once again, to Ron's point, have only lost 2 games in a row once all season. The Clippers are coming back from Washington to LA travel. But at the same token, this is a Boston Celtics team that's on a 5-game road trip and has a 2-game away stand in LA. So 2 tough travel spots for both teams, if I'm being honest. And, this is just a spot where I like the Clippers here. I think when teams are in this situation, you've been inconsistent, your back's kind of against the wall, and you want to go out and show something. This is going to be a game on NBA TV, so it's going to be a nationally televised game, or not nationally televised if you have Pass and stuff like that. But again, so it's kind of one of those spots where you want to go out, you want to play well, and 2 guys that I expect to very much play well are Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Paul George has definitely been stepping his game up over the past couple games. He's being more aggressive. He's taking a lot of shots, and he's definitely making shots at a higher percentage as well. They have both their guards. They have Reggie Jackson and John Wall. And, this is just a Boston Celtics team that, I love this team. We've been betting this team a lot this year. But to me, it's kind of a similar situation to when they faced the Warriors, in Golden State. That was one where I had Golden State money line just for the pure fact that I thought Golden State was one of those teams with their back against the wall. They want to go out and show out at home. And it's one of those things where you try not to doubt the home dog. The teams are very capable of going out and having good games against tough teams at home. So that's why I'm backing the Clippers here. Once again, I expect big games from Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You got to remember, at the beginning of this season, this Clippers team was one of the top 3 teams potentially to win the NBA title. And now all anyone is talking about is the Boston Celtics. So I would think if you're a member of that LA Clippers team, you're taking that a little personal. You want to go out and play in front of your home crowd. And not to mention that Clippers crowd, when they're playing good, they get rowdy. It's a tough place to play. So for me, I'm actually backing the Clippers here at +3.5.
Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about that, Dr. Chuck? I mean, the Clippers, they're coming from DC to LA, like Matt mentioned, but the Celtics, they've been on the West Coast for quite a while now. Do you think there's any travel or anything, any type of fatigue on that side? If that is the case, maybe, I don't know. This one's tough, right? Boston's already been on the West Coast for that long, and then Clippers go from DC to LA. Maybe it's a place where we take the Celtics first half, and then the Clippers bounce back because they finally get their legs in the second half. And go that route. What are your thoughts?
Well, while I'm talking, Ron, can you look up what Tatum does after he plays that poorly while I'm talking? But because it's got to be good, even against a good defense. But I hope this is the contrarian side because I'm on Clippers money line. So I love Matt's play. I will of course be playing the +3.5 because it's silly. I think you can even get 4 in some spots. But specifically, this is one of the reasons. I mean, not only are they pretty healthy, Norman Powell isn't really getting the run from Lou that I think they expected anyway, so it's really not a big deal. Luke Kennard is much more important. Senior is much more important. Without any of those bigs, I love the Time Lord, and I can't wait for this guy to get back. I don't like the Celtics at all, but I love that guy. And I don't want him to be missing these games. I think Zubac probably just eats all night in this game if he can stay out of foul trouble. But I wouldn't want anything to do with this Celtics spot. And this is specifically why they're a short road favorite. And this late in the season, so I used 20 games or later. So it's not late in the season, but this late in the season, a team winning 75% or more of their games as this short of a favorite, 4 or less. There's 32 times. They're 13-29 against the spread just in the last 42. I'm sorry, I can't do math. The last 42 times they've only covered. I mean, they've won 16, so they've won 16-26, but they only covered 13 of the times, and that's not a good winning percentage anyway. That was why I like the money line. Paul George, is really tricky and he burns me a ton, but he still pops up on my systems as the guy. And the Celtics have really bled out against opposing, as you saw with Clay. And maybe Steph forced that on Clay and told Clay that he was the guy to start the game the other night. But I think Paul George goes nuts, and you're getting 24.5 on points at -105. He gets that 24, 23.5 a lot for a player of his caliber, for the guy that shoots this much. Sure, he likes to facilitate, but I think Zubac for a double-double. I think Paul George points over, and there's probably some other spots because I'm interested in what Tatum is going to do tonight, but Tatum is absolutely going to be pressing. And I think the Clippers win this in a spot that is not a good matchup for the Celtics tonight. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. This team could still win damn near 60 games, and it doesn't matter if they lose tonight, and I think they do.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. The last time Tatum had a pretty similar game to what he had against Golden State. 14 points on 5 of 18 shooting against Miami. The next night he scores 29, gets 11 rebounds, 10 of 19 from the field, hits 3 threes. So I mean he'll bounce back. I don't know what his point props is, but if it's I would assume it would be over 29, like 29 and a half, right?
He's almost always 30.
Yeah, it's almost around 30 pretty much every time. So that's going to be pretty tight. But that's what happened last time he had a bad game.
Yeah. In December as well, real quick, he's actually shooting 40% and is averaging 23.4 points per game in a 5-game sample.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it has to do with the travel. Okay. What was that?
DraftKings has it 28.5 -105.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm sure it's
that is interesting. So it seems like that they're looking for him to not really bounce back too strong here, right? Because that's a lower number than normal.
It's not.
I think
Leonard and George are both phenomenal on defense at times. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, the Celtics, pretty much they've been struggling a bit more offensively lately than they do, just because they've been on the road. Pretty much when I looked at their numbers on the road, offensively it's down maybe like 7 or 8 points from the efficiency ranking. But then on the defensive side of the ball, they're still pretty strong. 4th in the league in defensive rating the last 4 games, which was, during their road trip here. The Clippers, like I mentioned, it's a bad travel spot, but their offense is clicking a little bit more, especially with everyone coming back. So I can see where you guys are going with that. Man, I don't know if I want to touch this from a side perspective. I do have my only client play so far today is on the total in this game. But from a side perspective, this one's pretty tough. I could see it coming from both sides. I mean, a lot of things pointing towards the Celtics bouncing back, but also the Clippers just playing a little bit better offensively. Maybe they have some momentum on their side. It's just, to me, just a really bad travel spot though, going all the way from DC to LA. That's tough. That's tough. All right, now it's time for the best bet section. Let's start with you, Matt. Let's talk about what you got going on the premium side as well.
Yeah, so right now I actually do not have anything up on the premium side just yet. I am homesick with the flu, so I'll be grinding away all day, and we'll definitely have some NBA plays up. We're going to be hitting this NFL card pretty hard once again this next week, and then the UFC as always. I cover all 3 sports, and we had a very successful weekend, and definitely looking to repeat that. And going into today, I was definitely looking at Paul George very hard as well. So that's definitely something that I was looking at. But last night when I looked at it, it was like 22.5, and now it's already up to 24.5. So I didn't know if I wanted to mess with that just yet. Felt a little more comfortable actually with Jeremy Grant over 21.5 points. Okay, so the Portland Trailblazers are once again going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a back-to-back against the same team. Last game, they lost to the Blazers 118-124. And in that matchup, Damian Lillard and Anfernee Simons had 67 points combined. Okay, so because of that, when playing in a back-to-back like that, I do expect some high traps for maybe Damian Lillard, for maybe Anfernee Simons, and getting the ball out of those guys' hands. So because of that, I do think the Damian Lillard assist look is an interesting one as well. But, when Jeremy Grant has ample opportunity, he hits this number, pretty often. And last game, he shot 6 for 13 from the field, under what he typically shoots. He typically averages around 17.3 shots per game, and he still had 17 points. And again, that was with Simmons going out. and having 30 plus, and that was with Dame going out and having 30 plus. And this is also a Timberwolves team. You know, they don't have Cat anymore rocking that 4 position. He's still hurt. And they actually are giving up the 4th most points per game to power forwards. And, you know, Jeremy Grant is a different type of power forward. He can stretch the court a bit. He can beat you off the dribble. He's good at finishing around the rim. So I do think this is a very good bounce back spot for Jeremy Grant here, going against a Timberwolves team that just gives it up a ton of points in general. You know, the whole Rudy Gobert experiment isn't working out too well. I don't think he's been handling the paint all that well. And again, this is a player who can stretch the court on top of that. So for me, I think Jeremy Grant gets more opportunity tonight due to the fact that Damian Lillard and Simmons are what killed the Blazers in their last matchup. So again, I think he's going to get more opportunity. Dame's going to get him going a little more, maybe some Dame assists. So I like Jeremy Grant over 21.5 points tonight.
That's a nice look there. I mean, it makes a lot of sense that they try to change it up a little bit so that they're not seeing the same sort of look. Dr. Chuck, what's your best bet for today's show? Also talk about what you got going on the premium side. Remember, you got that DRC 50 promo code as well.
Yeah, so check out over at SportsMemo. All access, every sport gets you, or using that DRC 50 code at checkout gets you 50% off everything. We had a solid NBA week. College basketball was decent. We are actually in the top 5 in the NHL at SportsMemo as well. You get everything on that package plus tennis. You know, tennis is, I always say it's 52 week a year sport, but it is winding down in a lot of ways. There's a WTA tournament a week, and that's about all we have. But we hit a bunch of those winners over the weekend, and we're about up 25 units just in tennis over the weekend. So it still is, there's still a lot of spots to hit, and the WTA is usually our bag. Where we're going tonight, and I love that Ron said this was spicy, but this is a DraftKings. You got to search around. So get DraftKings, get a runner, use somebody, figure out a way to have access to this stuff. Luka sat out last game, and we took advantage because Luka is so he runs the most ISO in the league, and I think I heard on TNT that the Mavs are running more ISO than the Rockets even did when they had Harden, and people are obviously saying he needs more help and he can't do it himself. The injury replacement theory does not work with Luka. I think the Bulls scored 180 points in the first quarter against the Mavs. Without him, I can't remember what it was, but they were down at times by nearly 50, and it's not going to work without him. I don't know what he does while he's watching a game like that, but I have a feeling what he does when he comes out after a game like that is gets right back to ISO ball, taking 14 shots just in the first quarter, playing all 12 minutes. And we only need him to go over 9.5. It's already juiced. Maybe this will even move. Usually numbers like Matt said, Paul George's number actually moved. This probably doesn't move, but it may end up being minus 140, minus 150, something like that. Maybe it'll even move to over 10.5, which I'll take. He scored 16 points the last time. He scored 11 before that. I was kind of bullish on him, thinking that it was time to distribute more and get more guys involved. But as long as Christian Wood isn't on the court as a starter, he's not in there for that first 6, 7, 8 minutes. It's Luka or bust. I think we might even see like a little fireworks, Luka versus SGA up and down the court. They probably both score a dozen in the first quarter, but I think Luka, what Luka saw the other night when the game basically tipped off and was over is, holy cow, I am the most important player in all of the sport. And I am going to have to take all the shots. And, if he takes double-digit shots, he's also going to get to the line. He gets to the line frequently, even in the first quarter before we're in the bonus. So I think everything about this screams that it's nuts. He's already the best and highest scoring first quarter player in the league. And I'd probably play this up to like over 13.5.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. The Thunder, if the Thunder control the pace of that game, that definitely could hit pretty easily, in my opinion, because he's gonna come back in ISO, like you said.
Yeah. So the last thing I forgot to mention is the Thunder give up the second most first quarter points in the league at 31.2. So that's also a good spot. I know Luka would need to score half of those, but they probably can score 40. So
yeah, I could see that battle going back and forth between those two guys for sure, just because SGA is putting up, really first year all-star type numbers here. Yeah, Mitch, get it right, dude. It was 29,000. All right, so it's
Get it
not
right.
25, it's 29. And Bowdown Sports best bet Thunder plus 8.5
I like
as
that. I like
well.
that a lot.
I actually like that look.
Yep.
The last season the Thunder were 3-1 against the spread against the Mavs. They're already 1-0 against them so far this season. I feel like 8.5 is a little bit too much. So I agree. Yeah. Oh yeah, my turn. My best bet.
Yeah.
Best bet. We're gonna go to that Grizzlies game. This has not made my premium card. I really do, like I said earlier, want to see Ja Morant out for this game because I want to see this number come down a little bit. I think if that happens, it might just end up making my premium card. But from what I've seen, I can only look towards the Grizzlies in this one. They play extremely well at home. 11-2 straight up, 9-3-1 against the spread at home, including 6-1 straight up and 5-1 against the spread coming off their win. So they tend to come back and perform well off a good performance. So the Hawks, on the other hand, they're in a spot that they normally struggle in, especially so far this season. 0-2 straight up and against the spread as dogs on the second leg of back-to-back games. So when they're not rested, they're not covering games. Third 0-3 straight up and against the spread as road dogs following a win. So and that 1 point, buzzer beater win sort of could, I feel like it could be a letdown spot here. 1-5 straight up and 0-6 against the spread on the road following a home game. So that travel spot, like I mentioned, is something that they struggle in as well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So for me, I would look towards the Grizzlies in this one. I know the number is at plus 8.5, plus 8. I think we wait for the official status of Ja, and then we take whatever number the number closes at, or at least as close to it. Last 10 games, the Grizzlies are third in the league in defensive rating and fourth in the league in net rating at plus 6.2, while the Hawks are 25th in offensive rating, 22nd in true shooting percentage. So offensively, they're just not able to get it done with the Grizzlies playing a fast pace. As long as they can continue to score at the rate that they do, that number, that win margin is probably just going to extend as long as the game goes. So yeah, for me, everything is really just pointing towards the Grizzlies here. So that is my best bet. Premium side, I only got one play so far, and that's on the Boston Celtics and the Clippers game. And I think I want to add another game. And really, there's a few games that I'm looking at. I really just want to wait till the injury statuses come up. And of course, you see the banner there, the Matt and Ronald BOGO 7-day all access for just $99. Head over to sportsmemo.com to get that deal. There's no promo code needed. Just head to our page and it's there. It's one of those specials on the sidebar. With that said, that is the end of the show, guys. Good show today. Hopefully we cash our best bets and all the leans and plays that we talked about as well during the 3 games on the 3 games that we talked about. With that said, Wednesday is our next show, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 Eastern. Till then, good luck with all your action. Peace.